In the fall of 2004, an undercover Texas police officer was standing in line at a fast food restaurant, casually observing the people inside. He pretended to be just another customer waiting his turn, but the truth was different. He needed to get a quick look at the people eating in the restaurant. He'd been surveilling them without their knowledge. When his eyes finally landed on them, what he saw made his hair stand on end. Instinctively, his hand went to his gun, signaling to his partner standing beside him. They both drew their weapons and moved directly toward them. Welcome to Beyond the Shadows, where forgotten places, strange stories, and eerie mysteries come to light. Join us as we step into the unknown, one shadow at a time. On the evening of October 17, 2004, 21-year-old Molly Daniels arrived at the garage of the home she shared with her husband and children. It had been a long day at the decor company where Molly worked as a receptionist. The last thing she wanted, after all, that exhaustion, was to cook dinner for her husband and kids. But she grabbed her things from the car and went inside, and as soon as she opened the door, all her tiredness turned to joy. The first thing she heard was the laughter of her 4-year-old son, Caleb. She entered his room and saw him playing with her husband Kelly while their 1-year-old sat on the floor watching them happily. She greeted Kelly with a smile on her face, overjoyed to see them all and feeling deeply satisfied with her lovely family. Then she went to make dinner. Their financial situation was tough. The city they lived in was developing rapidly and rents kept getting higher. Kelly worked as a mechanic, but he was primarily the one who stayed home with the kids while Molly worked, though her salary wasn't enough. But as I mentioned, she was very happy with her family because Kelly was great with the kids, especially her 4-year-old from a previous marriage. Kelly wasn't his biological father. Now that we've met the family, let's get to the main story. That night after dinner, when the kids were asleep in their rooms, Molly and Kelly watched some TV. Molly said she was tired and wanted to sleep, while Kelly said he'd stay up a bit longer. When Molly went to bed around 10:45 p.m. and was starting to doze off, she suddenly heard their car starting in the garage. Shortly after, the car drove away. She was unsurprised because Kelly had mentioned he wanted to check on his mother and bring her some books. So she went back to sleep. At 6 a.m., she woke up to find Kelly wasn't beside her. She went to the window to check for the car. It wasn't there. She called for him and searched the entire house, but couldn't find him. Immediately, she called his mother. "Was Kelly with you last night?" "He said he was coming to see you," Molly asked. His mother replied, "No, and I didn't even know he was planning to visit me last night." The distance between Kelly's house and his mother's was a 65-kilometer highway full of dangerous mountain curves. He was used to this route since he visited his mother often. Suddenly, both women fell silent, thinking the same thing. Could Kelly have had an accident on that road last night? His mother said, "Calm down and stay home with the kids. I'll drive to your place using that road to see if I find anything." They hung up, and his mother rushed to her car and headed straight for that highway, searching left and right for his car. She hadn't gone far when she saw a traffic jam with police cars, ambulances, and fire trucks blocking the road. Her first thought was that this involved her son. She parked on the side, ran toward the scene, and asked the first officer she saw, "What happened here? Tell me what's going on." As she spoke, she noticed smoke rising from the woods beside the road behind the police line. She tried to see what was happening, but when the officer tried to stop her, she pushed past him and saw a car that had veered off the road into the trees and was burning. "Is this my son's car?" she asked the officer. He replied, "Calm down. We don't know whose car this is yet. As you can see, we're trying to put out the fire first." Unable to wait, she returned to her car and took an alternate route to Molly's house. She brought Molly back to the accident scene where firefighters had controlled the blaze. From the car's exterior, Molly immediately recognized it as theirs. When police examined the vehicle, they confirmed someone had been inside, human remains in the driver's seat. Kelly's personal items and metal badge in the car confirmed his identity. When news of his death spread, the entire neighborhood sympathized with Molly. All the neighbors loved her. She was kind, shy, and never bothered anyone. They collected $10,000 for her, and many neighbors bought household items and stocked her fridge with food for the kids. Molly was completely devastated, her grief obvious to everyone. While everything seemed clear to the public, police began investigating the accident's circumstances. Several things stood out. First, there were no skid marks at the scene, suggesting Kelly never braked before losing control. Second, how did the fire start? It was so intense it melted the car's metal and completely destroyed Kelly's body. While police had seen many car accidents with fires, this one seemed unnatural. Investigators began questioning whether this was truly an accident or a murder. On October 22nd, for days post-accident, forensic labs sent a report confirming their suspicions. The report stated a flammable liquid had been on the front seats, explaining the intense fire. Most importantly, the autopsy showed Kelly's lungs were clean, no smoke inhalation, meaning he was likely killed before the accident was staged. As these details spread through the neighborhood, people began calling Kelly's death suspicious. Nobody was surprised. While Molly was beloved, Kelly was known as a troublemaker who constantly picked fights. During his funeral, one of his closest friends openly said, "The world is better without Kelly." This prompted investigators to examine Kelly's past for enemies. They quickly learned that 10 days before his death, he'd been accused of assaulting a 7-year-old girl, but received an unbelievably light sentence, just 30 days not yet served, as he was under monitoring. The girl's father had been furious about the lenient sentence and had threatened to kill Kelly 2 days before his death. When police questioned the father, he was transparent. "I hated him and was angry about his light sentence. I threatened to kill him, but I had nothing to do with his death." He had solid alibis proving he wasn't in the area when it happened. Police decided to re-interview Molly. Their first meeting showed a polite, grieving widow. But this time, when they visited her home and sat in her kitchen, everything felt different. She seemed to have returned to normal life, nothing like the heartbroken woman they'd met days earlier. When asked if she suspected anyone might have killed her husband, Molly suddenly became irritated. "I don't have time for this. No one hurt him. I think Kelly was depressed about his case and killed himself. Now please leave and don't ask me about this again." Police left but agreed something was off. They then noticed Molly's strange behavior. Just 3 weeks after Kelly's death, she was already dating a new man who visited her home. Neighbors and the children's nanny reported her 4-year-old couldn't accept this new person, becoming aggressive and constantly screaming for his father. Despite these red flags, there was no concrete evidence linking Molly to Kelly's death. The case stalled until fall 2000 when police decided to place Molly under 24/7 surveillance. At first, her routine was normal, taking her son to school, going to work. But on December 3rd, 6 months after Kelly's death, while returning from work, she changed her route and stopped at some shops. Instead of entering any store, she approached a black Ford Mustang driven by a black-haired man. After looking around suspiciously, she got in. Undercover officers followed them to a Taco Bell, dressed as civilians. 2 officers entered pretending to be regular customers. While in line, one officer casually glanced at the couple and immediately recognized Kelly, the only difference being his dyed black hair. Further investigation showed that Molly and Kelly had staged his death to evade his prison sentence and claim a $110,000 life insurance payout. The charred body was actually that of an 81-year-old woman whose grave Kelly had dug up. He had deliberately crashed and set the car on fire, which explained why there were no skid marks. At first, their scheme worked. Everyone thought Kelly was dead, but their reckless deaths to meet at Taco Bell led to their downfall. Molly was sentenced to 20 years for insurance fraud, while Kelly received 30 years, plus an additional 20 for violating his probation. What shocks me the most about this case is the sentencing just 30 days for assaulting a 7-year-old, but 30 years for insurance fraud. Anyway, that's today's story. I hope you found it fascinating. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.